Going on YouTube? Welcome back to Showing Tech. So today is a very big day. I have in front of me the M1 Pro MacBook Pro, and obviously looking at my subscriber count, you know that this was not sent to me. I had to pay with this with my own money. I've been super intrigued by this device. I have the M1 2020 MacBook Air, and this was my first MacBook that I bought myself. I had trouble going between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro of last year. Ended up settling on the M1 MacBook Air because of how fantastic it was when it came to running my YouTube channel and just doing my everyday day-to-day stuff. And I really love the form factor of it. However, ever since getting into sort of the Apple ecosystem, everyone's always talked about how much they love that 14-inch form factor. Even though I don't have the most intensive workflow, it's still going to be very interesting to see the differences between editing on this guy here and editing on the MacBook Air, especially when it comes to the battery life and different things like that. And I do tend to game on my MacBook Air as well. I love playing games like TFT, Teamfight Tactics, and League of Legends. So I'm excited to see how all of that runs on this new MacBook. So without wasting any more time, we're gonna jump in and start unboxing this guy here. I'm really excited to see what the difference is between a device like this one and the one that I already own. So just quickly popping off the cellophane. So again, this is the cheapest version that you can get. I've said it in numerous videos before, but I always just go for the base model. Base model bandits unite. Drop a base model bandit down in the comments if you are someone like me that doesn't care to spend $1 million on the most expensive version of a device. So this one here features the 16 gigs of unified memory and 512 gigabyte SSD. And again, it's that 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro. Haven't done anything else. One major regret for anyone that's looking to grab this device, one major regret that I have already is not opting for the $20 surplus in order to get that I think it's a 96 watt fast charger. That would have been great. I didn't realize it when I was ordering mine because I was kind of just rushing to get it in the cart since I knew just how crazy of a rush there would be for people trying to grab this device. So here is the MacBook, and really quick, wow, that is super heavy compared to my MacBook Air, but really quick in the box, you already know what you're gonna get. So a bunch of paperwork and whatnot. This is just the regular charging brick. So again, I wish that I had spent the money and got the 96 watt brick because it is reported to charge the MacBook Pro from 0 to 50% charge in 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, which is incredible. The next thing that I'm excited about in this is this guy here. So you have a braided MagSafe cable. So it's USB-C to MagSafe braided, very high quality. It looks and feels like. So excited to give that a test. And then you have the MagSafe. Now MagSafe, I'm not too excited about myself. Again, my first MacBook, I only got it just last year. So I've heard good things about it, how people love that it just snaps back into the socket and you're not so much worried about, tripping over the cable and things like that. My issue is it forces you to have to go out and start buying new cables. So I've even seen on Twitter people saying like, it's cool that MagSafe is coming back, but it kind of sucks that now I got to go out because what if I have a cable and brick set up at my office, one at home, one on the go, whatever it might be. Now you're gonna have to go out and replace those. Yes, you can still charge by USB-C. Fun fact, but you're gonna want to use the MagSafe because I imagine that would be the more efficient and faster option. So grabbing this paper off, doing a lot of talking here, I'm sorry. You're only here for one reason, and that is this guy here. So this honestly feels very solid. It is a really beautiful device in comparison to my Air. As I was saying, it's a lot heavier, feels a lot more substantial, also more scared to drop it. So there you go. Nice Apple logo on the top. Flip it over, says MacBook Pro on the bottom engraved there, which looks really nice. Don't know if we can see it on the main camera from back there, but hopefully we can see it on the side camera. So it just says MacBook Pro there. So we're gonna go ahead, pop this guy open. Holy smokes. This is a lot different of an experience, let me tell you. There we go. Beautiful. So peel that off. Nice. First things first, first impressions, looking at the screen, very, very nice screen. The screen is honestly beautiful. You do absolutely notice that notch up there. Not gonna lie to you, it's definitely there. Looking at these two screens though, side by side, oh my God, it really, really does look nice. You can already tell right off the bat. So this is a mini LED screen. It's obviously 14 inches versus the 13 inches on the MacBook Air. This one is going to have the Pro Motion display. So you've got that 120 hertz high refresh rate versus my Air does not have that. Just by moving the cursors around, you're not going to see it on camera, but just by moving the cursors around, you can definitely see it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, because I know there's been lots of debate online ever since the design was released. I'm not gonna lie to you, that notch is extremely noticeable. But is it any different than the notch on the phone? I mean, when I'm using my iPhone, I honestly, sorry, I honestly don't notice the notch when you're going about your day to day. Don't know how it's gonna be when using the MacBook Pro, obviously, but I would imagine same idea. Your brain's just gonna block that out. So let's go ahead and start setting this up. Another thing to note while we're doing the setup here, and I'm gonna have to open the Air again, but another thing to note when looking at the keyboards that these devices have, Apple has made some slight changes. So number one, you no longer have that aluminum behind the keys there. So it's a blacked out keywell. And I think that it looks a lot nicer. I really, really like the look of that. The keys do still feel the same. All right, so now that we've got things kind of moving here, just some first impressions on the overall device. So coming from the MacBook Air, like I said, having more screen real estate, it does look very, very nice. I do like that. It's gonna take me a while to get used to how thick this is. Like this is a very, very thick, chunky machine, very rounded, very squared off machine. So it's gonna take a second to get used to that difference between this guy and the Air. It's a thick boy. Anyways, so, but overall though, I do like how this looks. I like how it feels. Like I said, with it being so heavy, that's gonna take some getting used to. But while the setup is going, what I'm very, very excited about with this device here is actually the ports on the side. So currently my workflow involves the use of this dongle right here. I don't even know how you pronounce this, Moonping PNG dongle. So this one has 3 USBs, and then it has on the back an SD, a micro SD, and an HDMI port here as well. And so I always have to go from my camera, grab that SD card, throw it into this dongle, put it into the computer, etc., etc. Now that there's a dedicated SD card slot on the side again, there's a dedicated slot. However, there isn't one for my micro SD. So I'm still going to have to do that when it comes to audio. So I haven't really gotten rid of the whole dongle situation just yet, but so far that is okay. So some Touch ID, and you might have noticed that while looking at me doing the Touch ID setup, that this year's Pros don't have that touchscreen at the top. I thought last year that that would be one of the main things that I enjoyed about that MacBook Pro. And I found quickly that it was just, in my opinion anyways, very, very useless. We're gonna go dark mode. Very, very useless. Like there was emojis up there, all types of other nonsense up there that didn't really, you know, make using the computer any more efficient than if they weren't there. So when I switched over to my MacBook Air and didn't have those, that touchscreen status bar at the top, and went back to the actual hard function keys, I found that I enjoyed that a lot more. So I'm very excited that that's the route that they decided to go with this guy here. So that's pretty much it. Like there's not too much in for me to test right now. I don't even have my Spotify set up, but I'll try to jump onto YouTube and see if we can't crank out some non-copyright music so that this video doesn't get flagged. So that's pretty good. And by comparison, let's just do that same thing with the MacBook Air from 2020 and see how that sounds. Kind of put it in the same spot that this guy was. Try to open up that exact same video. So this is the Pro. Probably not the best selection. Let's jump to 806. And back to the Air. So just a lot thinner, not as loud. So yeah, man, I mean, as you can imagine, with the price difference between these guys here, like the MacBook Pro is almost triple the price of the MacBook Air. So you would expect that with little things like this, the Pro should be better at doing that. It has a bigger body. It obviously is going to have larger drivers when it comes to the speakers. So I didn't expect it to be very close in terms of the overall audio quality, but very, very, very happy with how that sounds right out of the box. And if you're looking at the screen, just to talk about that notch again, you know, when you're playing a YouTube video or whatever it might be, you're not going to see that notch there. It blends in with the black bars. But then as soon as you drop out of that full screen mode, then the notch comes right back. But again, it's really not something that I'm going to notice. And when you throw your cursor behind it, it actually travels the full distance behind. So it might be hard to pick it up on the camera, but you can see if I just leave the nub of the cursor out, it does travel the full distance. I kind of thought that it would skip automatically from one side to the other or just auto force you to go around it. So pretty cool that it actually travels behind the notch. So in terms of first impressions, that's pretty much it. Very, very excited to have this device here. I'm going to set it up. I've recorded a ton of videos for YouTube already so that I can start editing directly in Final Cut on this MacBook and kind of retire my MacBook Air for a while and see how much of a difference it makes upgrading to this device. But again, keep in mind, if you're someone like myself who doesn't have a very crazy workflow, then, you know, you're probably not too hard pressed to upgrade to this guy here, unless you're editing with some crazy codecs and using, you know, some super high end cameras. I'm using Canon M50 and I use my iPhones in order to create these videos. So I don't expect that I need this much power, but I am excited to, you know, use it for the next couple of weeks or months or whatever it might be, play some games on it, you know, crank out some videos, etc. And really, really get a pulse or a beat on just how good this base level MacBook Pro is. I'm really excited about these M1 Pro chips. So that's pretty much it for me. If there's anything that you want to see coming out of the 14-inch 2021 MacBook Pro M1 Pro device, feel free to let me know down below in the comments and I'll do my best to figure that out for you. Again, this is just the base model. I'm a base model bandit. I figure not many people need to go up into the bleeding edge of these types of MacBooks. So very, very excited, very, very satisfied with just how this looks right now. So that's it from me. Much love as always, throwing up 2 of them, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.